Hello friends, how's it going? It's Johnny Plays GT, and today I want to show you how I designed the avatar editor idea. I posted this a while back on Instagram, and I kind of wanted to walk you through the creative process of how I went through it. So I first got this idea when I was watching the Dungeon beta trailer, and I was like, this is really cool. Are they really adding like armors to the game? I thought there definitely needed to be like an avatar editor. So I quickly made a mock-up, so in case I forget my idea, I could come back to it. Yeah, so I began by just putting in a box, made a title, right? Put my character in the middle, as well as the show friends button. Now, what I really like to do when I'm editing things is bring in parts of the game, right? And then just make some small changes like changing the text, changing the color. So this plus is actually the increase backpack size button in your backpack. Now, I wanted to use that, but it was a little bit off, so I brought in the billboard by instead. And I think it just looks a lot better because it actually has that arrow on the side. But I kind of needed an arrow that came up from the middle instead of diagonally from the side. So what I did here was make my own version, right? It's super fun to just add a few pixels here and there. And it looks really good in my opinion. Like, oh my gosh, when I made this, I was like, I'm proud of myself since I'm not really that great of an artist myself. At this point, I'm just putting in stuff. Oh, and then I thought about HP. You know what? There has to be like HP and Armour if this is like a Dungeons update, right? Like spooky, scary stuff like armor. So I put in an armor and I changed the color a little bit to like an orange. And of course, there has to be like how much armor. So I made it 5 armor total. And I also put in hearts for HP. Now, as you'll see, I actually want to put in 10 hearts, sort of like Minecraft, but then, there's not enough space. So I eventually toned it back to 5 hearts. And, it looks pretty good because 5 hearts goes with 5 armor points. And now I'm just playing around. What if I put like backgrounds behind the text? Does it look good? Does it look bad? And I eventually didn't put the background behind the text because the text just looks good by itself on top of the square background menu thing that we have. And throughout this editing, I usually think to myself, when should I add shadows? Shadows are a component of editing that you need to think carefully about. Your shadows usually don't want to be too dark. It just has to be like complementing whatever you're adding the shadow to. You want to increase the contrast between your element and the background. And that's kind of what I was thinking through here. Like the text is a little bit more readable with that background. So at this point, I was adding plus signs because for items that you don't have equipped in that area, like for example, hair, there has to be like some kind of indicator that you can add something. And I thought that plus sign would be adequate for that. And I also wanted to make like a small color change, like this box is lighter or darker, so it's easier to the eye to immediately notice that you can add something. Of course, we also need to include the items, so I'm just adding in my hat, my staff, right, my cape, and I eventually added a shadow to that as well, so each of the items sort of look a little bit more standing out. Yeah, and it just sort of just came together like this spontaneously. And now I'm getting to the end. I put down a background, put back a vignette, so it sort of makes the stuff in the front pop out a little bit more. And yeah, this is how I designed the avatar editor. It was just really on the spot. Like, what can I add here? What can I add there? If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. See ya.